And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of our Magnum OPUS Podcast. Today, I am joined by a TA that, regrettably, I have not seen for a little bit of time, and some of you haven't seen either because she had to join us from a whole state away for our last camp. But, Christy McCulfor, why don't you go ahead and say hello?
Hello!
Thank you so much, Christy, for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk to you because out of all the TAs, don't tell them I said this, but I think you might be one of the artsier people. And I love talking just about anyone who enjoys the arts. I mean, obviously, they're all musicians, so they love music, but like you kind of take it another level. You love music, you love graphic design, you love, I won't give away too much of what we're going to talk about, but all the things. I'm just really excited. So thank you again for joining me. And yeah, seriously, I know you are a whole state away.
All the way in Michigan.
Yeah, all the way in Michigan. Why don't we go ahead and I'll just jump in here with our first question for you.
I have to say thank you for having me. Thank you for the chance.
Absolutely. No, I'm really glad we can make this happen. You're a whole hour away, so that time difference made it really hard. You're in the future right now. You're recording and sending it back.
Woo-hoo.
Hopefully it worked out okay. So, Christy, my first question for you. What is your background as a musician? So maybe when you started playing, who you studied with, if you studied, how many instruments do you play, all that fun stuff.
Alrighty, well, I started when, the story goes, I was listening to the radio and I asked my mom, what's that instrument? She's like, well, that's the violin. I'm like, I want to play that. And so my wonderful parents got me started at 4 years old in violin lessons, and I stayed with the same private teacher until I was 14, and I did orchestras after that, and I just sort of kept playing until now. So yeah, just lots of orchestras and public school stuff.
And you said, I just started playing until now. How many years has it been for until now? Just out of curiosity.
Okay, well, if I started when I was 4, I'm 26 now, so 22 years. I suppose I've been able to hold and play violin somewhat.
22 years. Okay, for those wondering, yes, I am only 23. So, therefore, you've been playing.
You're only 23?
Yeah, don't say it that way, but that means
okay. I thought we were the same age. It's just surprising to me.
Well, physically I'm 28, but mentally I think I'm about probably 23 or so. Still growing into myself here. But
once you pass a certain age, like it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it all just bleeds together. Once you're one age, you're all the ages. So following up with that, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in Opus, when you got involved, how many years you were a student, and then a TA, all the fun stuff.
Well, so I think my grandpa is the one who found the Opus flyer, and it was the second year Opus was ever being held.
Oh my gosh.
I think he had seen it the year before. I'm like, that looks cool. I'll get Christy in it next year. And so my parents drove me all the way up from Michigan. I stayed with my grandparents for the week and I loved it. It was just a little baby camp. I think there were only like 20 students. It was 2003. I was 8 years old. And yeah, I just thought it was super fun playing with, other people your age and learning a new piece. And then you get to perform it in front of everybody. It was just sort of a spark in music that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I continued coming year after year, and it was tradition. I'd get driven to my grandparents' house. I'd stay the week, get spoiled rotten, play at the end. My parents would come get me.
And then, week.
Yeah. And then eventually I actually moved to Illinois my high school years. So I was there locally. And so I was able to be a TA for most of my high school years. I think it was a camper a total of 9 years, and TA the remainder. I don't even know how long it's been.
Oh my gosh. Say that again. Camper for
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah. I think I had an option to go as a camper or a TA in my 10th year because I was 18 and I could choose. I'm like, I'm gonna be a TA now.
I'm with TA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get to set the rules now.
Yeah. So,
That is awesome. So do
oh,
you play any other instruments besides violin?
I do not, sadly. I tried to teach myself piano so I can play at like a kindergarten level on the piano, but I do not put that on my resume.
Still better than me. All right, that is awesome. Christy, so now that you're all grown up and you've been playing violin for 22 years,
Ooh.
yeah, tell us a little bit about what you studied in college and maybe how you decided to study that and all that fun stuff.
So my other passion is drawing, and I have been drawing for longer than I've been playing violin, I'll tell you that. So
Impossible. Call me out on
I
that
have
right now.
pictures from when I was 2. One is called Ducky Wearing a Hat. I can show it to you later. But
I don't know what it's about.
anyway, so I decided that I really wanted to pursue that, and I kept hearing, college is what you need to do with your life. You need to go to college to succeed. So I'm like, all right, I'll go to college for illustration and computer science because, I've always thought programming is cool. I've always loved computers. Separate thing. I love a lot of things. So I'm going to double major in that. And so I went for a year. And then I realized, I'm not learning a lot about drawing that I didn't know before coming to college. And I couldn't afford to double major in computer science. And so I was being like, should I go into debt for this or should I, step back, take a break? And so I decided, I'm going to escape college. I am going to just, go work and figure things out while making money instead of losing money.
Yeah.
So I took a year off. I did the retail thing. And I kept up with violin, and I got married eventually because that's how life goes.
Yeah, she's 26 and married.
I got
Oh.
married when I was 20, so almost 6 years.
Oh, that is awesome. What
Yeah.
does your husband do?
He is a chemical engineer, so
Good
he
boy.
is able to support my webcomic habits, which I'll bring up here. I am now an author and a freelance animator. So
Freelance animator. Now, Christy, I know that you have your own website.
yes.
And tell us a little bit about that because I don't want to say anything wrong. You tell us everything.
Okay. So my job that I do now for the most hours out of the day is I work on my webcomic called Extra, which you can find at extra-comic.com. And that is my ongoing graphic novel series that is about extras in the backgrounds of movies, and they're escaping their fates of being killed off by the producer. So they're going to go talk to the producer of the movies and ask him to stop killing them off.
I have read volume 1 and I can confirm it is amazing.
Oh,
The
thank
art
you.
style, the writing. Do you do everything? You draw?
I do everything.
Oh my gosh. No kidding that takes forever. How
Yeah,
long have you been working on that?
it's I've been working on it about full time for 5 years now.
Whoa.
So I just got the printed volume 3 out, and I take it to Comic Cons, and I have a booth, and I usually sell out.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah.
My friend is a famous author.
Locally famous.
Locally
American.
famous author. That is so cool. I
Thanks.
bet people stop you when you walk down the street and you're like, wait a minute. I know you.
It's only happened a couple times, but
I've only been stopped by fans a few times in my life. Let's not get carried
it's really cool when it happens. I flip out more than they do usually because like you've read
away.
my thing. But yeah, my other thing that I do is I animate a cartoon series on YouTube, which I also do almost all myself.
Whoa.
And that's called Fairy Foxes. And I started it when I was 13, so the first episode is a little rough, but I add on to it every year or so now. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
that's my fun drawing project. But yeah, I've
Cool.
gotten actually to learn a lot about music through Fairy Foxes because it's gotten me into composing, and I've been doing the background music for it.
Holy cow.
It's fun.
Wow. You're a full-blown artist. Let's just
Thanks.
really quick, let's list the things. So you compose, you
Yes.
perform, you uh, you write, you draw, if that's the right verb for that,
Yep.
and you computer. So you're checking all the boxes here.
I like
For
boxes.
I like boxes. What can I say,
And
Christy?
I
Oh
am in a
man,
unique position where my husband is able to, support us mostly financially. So I'm making the most of this. I'm like, I'm going to
oh
make
yeah,
things.
I'm gonna make things.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I'm very blessed in
so
that
cool.
aspect.
So what is Firefox about? And do you do voice acting too?
Fairy Foxes
Fairy Fox. That's what I
is
meant. That's what I meant.
okay. Fairy Foxes is about winged foxes that live above the clouds, and they're fighting evil hawks in an effort to save humans because the hawks want to destroy all the humans on Earth.
Yeah, you're a Metahawk. It's their singular goal in life.
And I do voice act in my own series, and I direct the voice acting for the other voice actors who are mostly my friends and family, but occasionally I get the odd person who is willing to work for me from online.
That's me. I call dibs.
Do you want a voice act? I've got a part.
100%. I think that'd be awesome. It's
You're
a
in.
system now. We're on the podcast. You no takesies backsies.
I'll get back with you later on that because I do need a part.
Oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. Okay, very, very cool. Good. So I got my gig for tomorrow. That's awesome. And now you also direct for voice acting too. Christy, my word. We should have had this podcast interview ages ago.
Aw,
It was that
I'll
darn
interview you next time.
it was that hour difference. That's what it was.
Wow.
Well, as much as I hate it, I'm gonna move away from you just a little bit.
That's just fine.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it back a little bit to Opus and music. My next question for you is: you are clearly so busy. We just established that. How do you keep music in your life, even if it's just a hobby?
Oh, well, my computer just fell asleep. You still
Oh,
there?
yeah, I still hear you.
Sorry, I'm with the scream of black. I freaked out for a moment. Okay, well, I just actually started this year a challenge for myself because I have traditionally hated schedules and I am very much a bingey person. I'll like practice
Mm.
for 9 hours and then not for the rest of the week, that sort of thing. Like, you know what, this year I'm going to change that. And so I have this to-do list app thing. And so I have violin on here at 5 p.m. every day. Violin. And so
No
I'm
way.
deciding to practice for, that slice of time. And it's been really good. I've been, just forcing myself to sit down, practice, work on it, or, I have another slice of time I've set aside just for like composing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. That's actually a really interesting. I should have thought about that, but I have not thought about that. Setting aside daily schedule, just building it into your life. That's
Yeah,
very, very smart.
it's been a hard change for me since I'm naturally so like schedule averse, but
Yeah.
it's been a great change and I'm really sticking with it. So
Bomb. That's really good to hear. Speaking of practice, we can end today by me asking you what your favorite practice tip or one technique that you want to share would be.
So what I've been learning is so I have a couple of tips. When I go back to my old student music, my private teacher put in these places he called smiley face spots. They were parts I messed up on every time I played through the piece.
Oh.
And he would have me draw from a deck of cards, random 2 cards. And if I got a 6 and a 7, he'd add them together. It'd be like 13 times you have to practice your smiley face spot.
Whoa.
Yeah, but if you drew a 2, that was even unluckier because you get multiplied. So it would be like 9 times 2, you're 18 times practicing your smiley face spot.
Oh.
And so, like, you know what? That kind of like random repetition is good because I don't feel like, oh, I have to practice this 5 times. I'd be like, no, I drew those cards. It's time to face up to. And then my other tip would be once you get your pieces memorized is to practice with your eyes closed because I personally find that I'm more like I'm paying more attention to the intonation rather than like what the notes are on the page, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So that's
I'll have to add those 2 tips to my little checkbook of practicing ideas. We have practice, It's sort of that random idea, which is
Well,
phenomenal.
repetition.
Right. Yes. Not random practice, but like random repetition. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Bomb.
Oh my goodness. But
Great.
thank you so much for having this. This is really cool. I've been loving listening to your podcast.
Binge listening, you mean?
Yes, binge listening. I sat down today and listened to like 5 interviews. Like, this is great. I love listening to Kevin talk about moths.
For 20 minutes. Now we can put the Opus podcast on your list. We have a new episode every Saturday. So hopefully that'll make it on your list of weekly to-dos.
I will be listening. I'll put it down right here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Our first subscriber. Thank you so much, Christy. I greatly appreciated our time together. And as always, everyone out there, join us next week for more phenomenal, amazing Magnum OPUS. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.